Us again today. All right, everybody, it's 4 o'clock right now. We're going to go ahead and get started. All right, so thank you. It looks like we've got some familiar faces back on our session today. So thank you for returning and checking us out again and seeing what we have to offer with Merge today. For those of you that may not have joined us before or don't know who we are, so we are Maker Maven. We are a full service STEM and STEAM maker education company, whichever acronym or whatever you're calling your STEAM capabilities on your campuses right now. We really fit that bill. So I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Matt Garcia. I am the co-owner of Maker Maven along with my wife, Jamie. We started Maker Maven back in April of 2016 and have really been blessed to be able to grow and join other educators like yourselves in really improving and growing the STEM and STEAM movement in education. I would also like to introduce Brianna Kua. She is our Director of Marketing and Communications with Maker Maven. So all of the great stuff you see from all of our social media posts, our great STEM challenges that we put out if you subscribe to our newsletters, she is really the force that drives all that. So thank you, Bree, for joining us today as well. So I want to go over a few housekeeping rules really quick. We want this to be as fun, as interactive as possible for everybody while you're enjoying today's session, and we're going to get to Nick here in just a minute. So we highly encourage you to use the chat. Some of you have already been using the chat. So we see a few other people are joining right now. So if you have any questions, comments, or if you just think something's really cool, we want you to be really engaged in the chat. So go ahead and type to your heart's content down there. If you have any specific questions that you think might require a little bit more in-depth answers, please feel free to go ahead and pop those into the Q&A section that should be found in the bottom of your screen as well. Or I think if you're on an Apple device, it might be at the top of your screen. But just anything that says Q&A, go ahead and click on that and type in your questions, and we'll get to those afterwards as well. And continue the conversation. So we usually say to continue the conversation with us on social media at Maker_Maven on Twitter and Facebook. But we want you to try something a little bit different today. So we're going to be doing some giveaways for some 5 free merge cubes. And how you enter to win those 5 free merge cubes is to get some good social media engagement. So if you are live tweeting and chatting about this session on Twitter, make sure you tag us at Maker_Maven. And also if you tag Merge as well, and get some good chatter going back and forth on social media as well. So, and we'll select the winners for those 5 free merge cubes off of those social media engagements. So now leading into that, I would like to introduce Nick Nanan. He is the channel manager for Merge. And I'm sure since you are attending this session, you're familiar with Merge. And if you're not, this is going to be a great introduction for you. So Merge really does some cool things with augmented and virtual reality. Almost everybody has seen the really cool Merge cubes, as well as their goggles for a virtual reality experience, or pairing them together for a kind of mixed reality experience. So make sure you follow Merge at Merge VR on Twitter as well. And again, get those social media mentions going back and forth there. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Nick so he can tell us a little bit more about what Merge is doing.
Perfect. Thank you so much for having me. And I'm really excited, obviously, to share with you the incredible new stuff that we have at Merge. So I will not waste any more time, but let's go through it. So let's hide this really quick. And so essentially, our mission here at Merge is to attempt to really engineer the next generation of learning. And our main focus truly is science, right? So we want people to learn science, master it, and be future ready. So obviously, as we know, in this post-COVID world, teaching has become incredibly difficult. It's also identified a lot of weaknesses we have within our own education systems, and weaknesses in terms of what resources are missing that would really benefit the lives of these students. And so I want to share with you today some of the ways that we're helping to bridge those gaps, and also, do it for a lot less money than the standard practices would allow. So one of the biggest things that we realize, and even in our own personal lives, there's a huge shortage of teaching aids. And so what we ended up doing is we actually replicated as many of the teaching aids possible, which you will actually see in the presentation I have today, what we have and able to share. Because obviously, we want to limit the touch, but at the same time, you want to ensure that every student has the ability to learn at their own pace and through their own understandings, because not everyone learns at the same critical point, right? Some people are what we call, slower learners, and in all reality, they're trying to just get more detail out of it. And other people pick things up incredibly quickly and only have to look at it once. We also want to cut down on that cost. You'll see how we're doing that as well. So with that, student engagement is obviously the big challenge, right, with remote learning, but I think also in classroom learning, ensuring that you have 30 students and sometimes even more actively engaged in the learning process is insanely difficult, and I won't sugarcoat it. As someone that does different workshops and works with students all the time, it's an incredible challenge. But the great thing about Merge is usually we've been called the most engaging piece of STEM and STEAM technology, and for good reason. The Merge Cube, once a student has it in their hand and is interacting with it, their engagement skyrockets, and you're going to see that today. So let's talk about what we call, the learning challenges that we face now. So in a study that was given in 2017, 2018, what we were able to discover is obviously as we've heightened our use of devices and imagery and everyday interaction, the significant portion of the world are what we call visual or spatial learners. And through those visual and spatial learning practices, we know that most people obviously are not getting those pieces when they're actually learning. A lot of it's done through auditory, and I think through the history of education, due to the fact that we've been limited by technology, we haven't been able to teach to everyone's strengths. It also limits the resources of educators, and it really makes the difficulty of helping a student get that aha moment so much harder. So I'm sure a lot of us, even here on this webinar, the majority of us are probably visual or spatial learners, and we want to ensure that we can bridge that gap. There's also other means that Merge teaches through, and we'll cover that later on in the presentation. So obviously the old way, right? Doing things doesn't get the results you need. We need to build that bridge and that gap of tools. And so through our science simulations, you're going to see a lot of the challenges we're able to tackle and making things significantly easier. So spatial computing technology, it's been allowing us to bridge that gap of learning for probably the last 20 years, but it's never been more accessible than now. One of the greatest pieces of what we call in terms of augmented reality happened when Pokemon Go kind of came around. It made augmented reality become so quick and handheld in almost every household, even across the world, that now we're able to use it from buying a couch on Amazon to seeing what your house would look like, to even purchasing clothes in some apps and services and stores. So we want to make sure that we're keeping up with the times and we're helping these students, because the majority of them are going to be working in jobs that do not yet exist. So how do we prepare people for a future that we are not able to see? And I think that that's going to come through this computing technology. So obviously, I'm going to skip over this one since we're just going to talk about kind of the presence we have today, but we'll circle back to this. But let's talk about the actual demonstration of, let's show you what these technologies actually do. And so I'm going to show you a quick video today, and just keep in mind, it goes a little quickly. You do not have to get everything immediately. If you need me to stop or pause, just let Matt or Bree know, and I'm sure they'll ping me. And from there, we'll actually be able to review anything. If you want to see a longer demonstration, we can do that towards the end of this presentation. So you guys will be able to see my screen now. Do we have any questions so far? If I can take a stop here. Nope, cool, perfect. So let's talk about what we're doing here at Merge. Our biggest thing is obviously bridging that gap of technology, and let's go through it now. So obviously these are the portions that we want to start actually working on through our adaptive learning process, right? So you're going to see a lot of these actually deployed out just through our bases of our apps. So this is the Merge Cube. And so essentially how it works, it's like a giant QR code, right? So it reads back to the camera, has some special science magic, and through that science magic, you're able to actually bring things to life. So we have two different apps that kind of coordinate to it. One is a content consumption app with our science simulations. It's all curriculum aligned. It's actually called our Merge Explorer app. So within each of these, they're essentially broken down into topic cards. We have over 100 different topic cards that cover an entire array of everything in STEM and STEAM. So here, this is a topic card. We're going to select it, open up your phone, open up your app, hold the cube in front of it, and now you're actually able to interact with the galaxy. So this is one of the first topic cards you'll actually be able to do, and it's fully interactable. As you interact with the screen, you're able to actually use it, change things around, and you're also able to augment with the cube. So if you want to rotate things as this student's doing to the right, you're able to do it, and it's almost like you're picking up the real thing. The mind actually plays a trick on itself. It's actually able to see something. It genuinely will feel when you hold something that it's there. So here we have different ways that we're breaking it down. So we have something with temperature. We are using many different devices. So you can use some Chromebooks, iPads, many different things, document cameras, interactive touch panels. So obviously everything that we have also is able to be broken down into simple lessons. So underneath each topic card and science simulation, there's different lessons that are fully interactable. So they're able to, obviously with this one, as you actually have a rocket ship that's being set away, you're able to mix the different variations that'll actually make the rocket ship go off, right? So highly engaging science simulations. The reason we want to focus on science is realistically, it's one of the most difficult topics to teach, and especially whether it's remote or traditional, it's something that a lot of us through time have struggled with because there are a lot of very complex and, I would say like deep understandings you need. You have to build upon a foundation, and sometimes we miss some of these different pieces. So as we talked about, the Merge Explorer app has over those 100 science simulations. But what we wanted to do is we wanted to make sure that obviously when somebody actually goes through and actually does a lesson, that they're able to pick up the knowledge that they need. So what you're going to see here is in this types of reactions, this has one of our, I would say, numerous amounts of activities. So there's always an introduction to every single card. But as you actually move on, there's actually a quiz that is associated with each of the activities. So with this one, we're actually going to go into activity 4, and we're actually going to make water molecules. So we're going to mix hydrogen, oxygen, and you'll actually see it's fully interactive. So it's adding those molecules actually into the cube that's being held in the hand. You don't need to wear the gloves. That was more for just show at that point. So I've gotten that question a couple times. Does the cube actually get cold? It's literally just a specialized material we make it out of, similar to foam. But at the end of it, like I said, there's quizzes, and these quizzes actually report back directly. So depending on your grade level, you're actually able to get your students' answers directly reported back to you on your dashboard, and we'll obviously show the dashboard after this. So they just go in, they click their quiz, and they're able to actually test their knowledge immediately. So incredibly, when you learn something new, it's really good to review it immediately. That way you really drive that information home. It'll also tell them if they get something wrong and help them to get the right answer. So just there, it went back, it showed, little Billy, Timmy, or Susie got the right answer and they got everything, and it reported into what they tested on. So now we're going to switch gears. We're going to talk about these digital teaching aids. So now we're switching over to an entirely different experience on our platform. So this is in our Object Viewer app. A lot of different digital teaching aids in science classrooms all throughout the world may have different pieces, but there's nothing as in-depth, interactive, but surely even in rarity, our teaching aids have diamonds and different pieces, and it has live dinosaurs. Everything can be activated. The other side of it too is you can drop things into the world, place it on a pedestal without ever using the cube, right? So here we have somebody that's going to set an entire array of different plant cells just on a simple tables. And this is everything that we're able to do, just dropping this into the real world. And once something comes in here, you're able to study it, interact with it, change how high it is, how big it is, and fully be able to engage with it across the entire platform. So with these pieces, they're able to interact with it. And I mean, in all reality, what science kits in the world truly have this amount of like plant cells and different pieces too? So we're going to take a pause there, and then we're going to switch over to the STEM projects. One of the biggest things that we always hear about is how else can the Merge Cube work in a classroom? So one of the ways that you're actually able to do it is through design and 3D printing. Anything you can set up for rapid prototyping, you can actually upload into the Object Viewer app and you can bring it into real life. This helps to save on money. It helps to save on time. It allows every single student in a classroom to actually design something, draw it up, and upload it. There's no 3D printer in the world that's able to print 30 different objects within a 45-minute class period that would allow each and every student to take something home. Ours would, and they can take it anywhere they want. Those are some of the apps that actually work with it. So if you guys actually use these apps in your classroom, you can use Object Viewer already. You actually get 50 items in a vault to upload. If you max out at 50, you can delete a couple and it'll open spaces back up. But Tinkercad, Autodesk, Paint, SolidWorks, they all have a little button that already exports to Object Viewer to kind of save you some time. So like I said, design anything, upload it, send it on, fully virtual within the cube itself. One of the biggest things that we want to ensure as well is obviously, you see a lot of these students being able to either collaboratively work together still, right, within that reasoning, or work independently. So obviously we're allowing two different methods of working that will help the student in one way or another. And then finally, teacher resources. I want to state this because we get questions a lot. It doesn't matter what state you're in within the United States, Canada, or several different countries. Merge lesson plans are all curriculum aligned to every single state in the US. And when I mean every single state, we've literally gone through with a fine tooth comb and we've matched up to every single science simulation standard. So it doesn't matter what science standard your state's running by. We have matched with every single one of them. So you never have to worry if our activity plans are going to go against something you're not supposed to be teaching. It's all been approved. And if you'd like to see it, you actually log into your portal and it'll actually show you where everything is certified. So everything here comes off with a very simple layout, something a little bit more complex, and there's extension ideas you can do as well. And we'll actually see what two of those extension ideas are today. So, and I think that's it for the video for now. Do we have any questions on that?
See, there's a lot of action going on in the chat here. Let's see if I can find a good question for you, Nick.
No worries. If there's not, I just want to make sure I didn't miss anything. I know I went quickly on it, so.
I know. Let's see, Sue. I have answered her in the chat, but about the free content that was available that is now paid. So what type of free content is still available to use with Merge and the Cube? So
great question. So within our apps itself, as long as you've created an account, even if you didn't upgrade to our platform, there's still several versions of free content you can use within the app itself. So within our Explorer app, there's maybe 4 or 5 different topic cards. And within our Object Viewer app, you still have access to your vault of 5 items. You can upload, delete, re-upload, reintroduce, and then you have access to some of our collections. So I'm actually going to go over our collection shortly, but you still have access to some of these pieces. We've also dropped the pricing of our app, so I would definitely revisit if you were not able to get funding for it previously. We've dropped the pricing on it significantly because we want to make sure it allows for everybody to get it.
And let's see, Catherine Price has a question. How do you use a document camera to show the merge cube? And I might be able to jump in on this as well.
Yeah, so there are certain document cameras that actually have AR compatibility. I know HoverCam actually allows you to do it. I know that's one of the brands. So essentially, there's actually a file. You download the file. You still need a merge cube. You'll still need access to the app. But you can actually go into those files and you can actually upload those and project those into your classroom. If you would like to know more, you have to reach out individually to those different document camera companies. There's different ways. But yes, they can be used with document cameras as well. I don't know if you want to add anything else to that, Matt.
Yeah, so some of the experiences that I have using the document cameras. So for example, we have the Hue document cameras and they do work with the merge cubes. And the only thing that you would need to find out is if you are able to toggle, mirror the image from your camera that is picking up from the cube. So that's the only issue I found using the Hue cameras in particular. Is that if you are using the cube and there's any text, it's going to show backwards once it's projected on screen. So if you have a camera or a program where you can mirror or flip that image, it should work perfectly.
Awesome. Good to know. Any other questions we have before I continue?
Let's see. I think we're good to go on. If anybody else has any other questions, feel free to pop them in the chat and I don't mind interrupting Nick if it's right on point there.
Cool. Awesome. So let's talk about the new science class. So obviously, as we've continued throughout this year has been difficult for everybody in half, and I won't sugarcoat that by no means. But we want to ensure that these students still have the ability to obviously gain all the knowledge they have, because they're losing out on so many different experiences that so many of us growing up obviously had. But what's the great thing now is all these digital teaching aids they can get fully hands-on with. So the interactive simulations are designed for use home, classroom, anywhere they want. All they need is access to the apps, right? So what this will actually showcase is obviously once they get it within their own hands, they're able to access it, they're able to kind of mess around with it. They have full complexity with it. So I know for the graphs that we work with, and obviously there's white papers with it, if a student's able to interact with a lesson plan of a pending test, working with the Merge Cube will actually have them on a higher trajectory of actually being able to understand the curriculum that's being applied to them due to the own engagement. There's really complex topics that we cover within our Explorer app. There's even more complex topics that we cover within our Object Viewer app through these digital teaching aids. And we'll actually show some of these towards the end of this. When we say these digital teaching aids, we get a lot of people whose eyes roll because they're like, oh, it's digital. There are so many things that unfortunately we would like to teach, but there's a difficulty with it because if we want to teach about functioning dinosaurs and things like that, you're gonna have to watch some kind of tape, movies, so on and so forth. But you're actually able to interact with the dinosaurs in our entire system. There's lab equipment, there's rocks, there's solar systems, all the way down to animals that have gone extinct, or if they like to go places. Everything is there. These digital teaching aids on our platform, that's part of our premium content. There's more than $10,000 worth of supplies within this digital teaching aids collection alone. And that's before you even open any other portion of the app. So from there, I know there's a lot of challenges, obviously. Think about having to outfit every one of your students with just these 8 categories here and ensuring that they have one of everything. And just think about how much that would cost. Obviously, that would be thousands of dollars per student. It would also be very difficult to, I think, sometimes keep track of inventory and just make sure everything's going to use. With this, it's a little bit easier because it tells you what they're accessing, what they're using, right? It also gives you a greater viability because if they see something and they're like, hey, I would like to replicate a planet that's outside of our solar system that we have not yet seen yet, they can actually design that and bring it into the real world utilizing our Object Viewer app and essentially make their own digital teaching tool with it. So like I said, we talk about being incredibly engaging, but that really comes down to that hands-on effort from everybody, whether it's a teacher or a student. Our activity plans are obviously curriculum aligned, but they all are actually housed within our portal. So if you get the platform, it's all there. There are a lot of free digital, well, not digital, but a lot of teaching aids and plans that are on our Facebook group. So if you ever look up the Merge Education Facebook group, we are the largest STEM or STEAM group on Facebook for education. I highly recommend it for anybody that obviously has the time to look through it. But there's a lot of like-minded people that obviously have similar goals that I think a lot of people would love to, see what's going on, what they're building, what they're using. Really, really great little ecosystem. So from here, like I said, there's a lot of things that we get asked about going beyond the STEM class, whether that's 3D printing, tools, designing, engineering, so on and so forth. So let's talk about one, right? So most STEM programs, I've visited thousands of schools, just in the last 2 years alone. And when I see their STEM programs, a lot of them are still struggling to come up with this kind of like STEM model. It's difficult to have a STEM program when all you have is just a 3D printer or some yarn, this and that. Merge is able to open up this entire catalog of different things to you, and you can actually build a true STEM program utilizing just Object Viewer if you wanted, where you're actually able to create almost any of these different pieces. It's actually opening an entire door for all these students, and unfortunately, it comes down to cost. You can't buy everything you want. If it did, we would all be the richest people, in the history of the world. But I want to make sure that we're able to open up these avenues to students because a lot of things come alive when it's in their hands. So if they want to design something as immaculate as a Roman city, they're able to do this through our actual software, through any design software, and switch it over Object Viewer. We want to ensure that we're giving them the proper avenues because obviously things are only going to get more complex as time goes on, and we have to give them these tools to do so. Again, collaborating remotely. So I think a lot of schools now are actually headed back for the students that are opting to work remotely or even, stay at home if they get sick, things like that. They can still collaborate. So I can actually create something, I can share that code out with one of my friends or my educator, and they would be able to enter that code onto our Object Viewer app, download that same piece, and actually augment it as they see fit. And at that point, it wouldn't change necessarily what's mine, but we would be able to create something together no matter where you are. Again, optimizing 3D printing, really, really expensive for some schools, very difficult to learn, but this will actually bridge that gap for those people that may not have the best design skills, may not truly understand 3D printing or feel comfortable with it, but it also takes care of a lot of the problems. It comes down to cost, right? Saves time on printing, but most of all, when your students send something to the printer, they can make sure it's superb, so it's not gonna, become some carotid mess. So yeah, so that's about it for me before I show you guys the next portion, which will be about it. So I'm going to show you part of our actual app, and I'm going to bring something to life here, just utilizing a simple device I have. So nothing too crazy, and we'll just do it via AirPlay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to open my Explorer. It's showing my sync. I'm going to show you my Explorer app. So this is everything you're going to see today is premium content. We're actually going to go in, we're going to check out a cool shark. We're going to be able to stamp that shark in our own environment, and we're going to do explore it with the actual merge cube. So everything you see here, like I said, it is part of our premium platform, but what we're going to do is we're going to go to life sciences, and we're going to go into something called the great white shark. So with this entire piece, there's a first video that you're actually swimming in a cage with a shark. There's another video that goes over the entire anatomy, which is this one, which we're going to actually activate today. All you need is a simple device and your merge cube, and here we go. So here's our shark. I'm able to augment it. I'm able to move it. I'm also able to see the entire skeletal structure of the shark. I can see the organ structure as well. And if I wanted to, I can do something called stamping. And I have the shark here. I can put another underneath, stamp that one, and now I have both of these sharks here. Interactive, easy to use, and as simple as that. All of these apps are broken down. They come in a multitude of different languages. So for anybody that has students coming from different learning backgrounds, but most of all, there's some of our apps that we do not actually need to launch with. So for our human anatomy piece, we're actually able to launch a full-size person into our actual structure. Let's do, actually, let me back out of this one. Let's show you our Object Viewer app so we can get a better glimpse of what's really inside the human anatomy. So within our anatomy, we have very, 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 very intricate things that come down in our collection for digital teaching aids. So we have everything from anatomy of the ear, we have animal classifications, animal teeth, we have human teeth, everything across the board, cells, circulatory system, even down to dental health, which is one of our most interesting categories, but again, teaching aid we need. But let's look at something interesting today. Let's look at some extinct animals that are fully here. Let's look at the woolly mammoth. So you can use the cube for this. You don't always need to use the cube, but you can make things as large as you want with the cube. So let's actually put this woolly mammoth here. They're all. Let's increase the size of it, and we can put a full-size woolly mammoth in my living room. And if we want, go ahead and clear it, and put something else. So as we interact, as we move around, there's all these different pieces that we can actually go with that will allow you to actually interactively teach in a classroom just utilizing the merge cube. And like somebody asked earlier, these are all part of the free content I'm showing you today. So you'll be able to interact with these as well. I think that's about it on my end. Do we have any questions, anything else?
Yeah, so there's two questions that I saw. I actually just asked them to put them in the Q&A, but we'll go ahead and get them answered now. So Hillary asks, I'm on a cart traveling from classroom to classroom. What do you recommend to bring to elementary students that I can bring with me?
I'm so sorry you broke up. Well, she's got a cart, like a Steam cart or like a iPad cart.
I'm assuming it is more like maybe like a circulation cart from the library or something like that.
Awesome.
Let's see. I tried to message Hillary. Oh, okay, looks like she's back in here. Hillary, what kind of cart are you using? Would you mind popping that in the chat? And while you're doing that, let's see. Sue had another question. Let's see if I can find it here, Sue. Says last time she looked, there was only 3 of the free lessons available. I see 4 available now. Will these stay open? She wrote lessons for weather, plants, food web, reactions for Aussie teachers, but now they can't be used. So do you know which ones are going to stay, or if there's going to be rotating lessons that are going to be offered for free?
So those 4 will stay permanent. We're also adding in the frog dissection card, which will be the 5th card for free. From there, we'll also have some rotating cards. So I don't know the schedule. It's not something I would be able to mention, obviously, since I don't know, but we will have some things coming for free, both in Object Viewer and Merge Explorer.
Okay, perfect.
Yep.
Anybody have any other questions? Feel free to pop them in the chat right now. If not, let's see, what do we have here? Hillary, I bring a themed cart with learning materials and STEM activities materials. So
Pumpkin volcano, that sounds very interesting.
Yeah, it does.
That sounds cool. Yeah. So what I would recommend, honestly, if you have a cart that's specializing just in showing off the STEM and STEAM stuff, realistically, if you're essentially, I remember growing up, we had a similar cart. I would definitely get some merge cubes. I think that'd be the first one. If you're not using the free content yet, I would sign up for the free trial, which I know they're going to drop a link for here. And then if you feel so ready for it, I would get a class pack. Class packs are probably the cheapest form. It would allow all the students to actively be able to interact with you. And the other thing too is you can save their work. So I don't know how often you'd be seeing these students, whether it's on a weekly basis or a bi-weekly basis, but it'll help them build on their knowledge pieces moving forward. It would also make it really easy for you to plan lessons going ahead. It might also save some room on that cart. You might be able to utilize the merge cube for a lot of these different pieces and not have to depend on some other stuff. So you might be able to bring some other things in. That's what I'd recommend.
Okay, very cool. I don't see any other questions that have popped up. But anybody at all? All right. Do you have anything else, Nick, while we're waiting for any more questions to pop in?
I would just say make sure to share out that free trial link, and if anybody obviously wants to see any further in touch demos, we can get that to them, and that's it. But if I were to obviously purchase merge, I want to make sure I buy it through Maker Maven because that's where the support is, and they'd be able to get it out to you. So
yep, we can definitely do that. And I see Brianna just dropped that link in the chat there. So definitely worth checking out. I highly suggest everybody in attendance here to sign up for that free trial. It's really cool to see firsthand. It's cool to see a demo, but seeing it firsthand and be able to get your hands on it a little bit will really kind of give you the full effect on what you can do with the Merge EDU platform. All righty, so if we don't have any other questions, let's see.
That's the quicker link is the trymerge.com/NN. I just remember they got me that new one. So that would be the quickest one to sign up. It's trymerge.com/NN.
Oh, perfect. That's a cool idea, Sue. I see you have a national lending library. That's awesome.
Yep.
All right, and
cube for the platform. So cubes are insanely cheap. If you really wanted to get one, you can get one for as low as $15 to $17, and sign up for that free trial. There's a lot of great options for it, and I know that obviously there is a paper cube. The paper cube is hard to find the link for. We don't still house that. I think there's still some options out there for it. There's one more thing you can do as well if you really wanted to. With Merge, with a lot of our new topics, you actually don't need the cube for everything. You can drop things into the real world just utilizing your own device. So the cube's not always the most necessary. Good question from Jamie Jaime Garcia.
Perfect. All righty. So I don't see. How would we use headsets with the platform, or would we?
Ooh, good question. So headsets aren't necessary. They are incredible. They're probably my favorite function of Merge. What's great about our headsets is they are antimicrobial. Word to learn from your wife. Super easy. If you wear glasses, they are actually fully adjustable. My little brother has a head the size of a giant pumpkin, and he can easily slip these on because these straps actually allow you to adjust it. So if you have a large head, small head, as well as adjust the lenses. This thing is incredibly tough. You can put a phone in, any kind of device, take it, throw it, nothing's gonna happen to the device. We've dropped phones off 8 stories in this goggle. The last part is all of the VR experiences for the most part currently are free, whether you're using Google Expeditions, National Geographic, they're incredible resources. You can go on YouTube. So if you wanted to get into VR and cost has been heavy for you, I would definitely recommend this. The other side of it too, these are only $40. They don't come with the device, but getting the device is really easy as well.
Yeah, very cool. And I can attest to the durability of those headsets. We've used them at, dozens, if not hundreds of trade shows across the country, in and out of workshops with educators and students. And we have yet to have a device break on them in one of those headsets. So,
yep.
All right. So cool. I still see people are talking in the chat here.
Yeah, so we got some good questions. There is a special that we do with Maker Maven. If you have gotten a free trial before and you haven't been able to try these things out, if you can get your the email you used, if you can send an email obviously to Maker Maven, they'll send it over to me and I can extend those trials out for you. We'll give you a new 14-day trial to try these out, or whatever link you sign up under, and we can take it from there. That way you get a full experience.
Yep.
Also, if you get a free trial, get on Twitter, tag Maker Maven, tell them thanks, because they're the only reason we're doing it here at Merge.
Yeah, so and I just dropped my email address there in the link. So if you do have an expired trial, shoot me an email and with your username, and I'll reach out to Nick so he can look that up and see if we can get an extension on that trial for you.
Cool, yeah. We got a good question here from Carol. She said, I work at a public library and I'm looking to send our cubes home in STEM kits. So Carol, really, really awesome question. What we can do for you here at Merge is you can actually buy licenses and have general logins. So they would be able to, if you work at Carol's library, it'd be Carol's library 1 and the password would be whatever password you would want. And they can put that in a card, send it home in that kit. And then if the kid stays logged in, parents stay logged in, whatever it is, you can log them out and that's it. It would be a really, really good thing. We see this a lot currently with some libraries and a lending program for both the viewer and the cube. And I would highly recommend it if you're somebody that wants to get it in.
Yep, very good. And as Jamie put in there, so taker spaces are a great idea. So we've helped a lot of librarians in particular set up taker spaces. So an easy way to check out these materials with your students, you can easily barcode them and add them into your cataloging system. So your students can easily check them out, have some type of quarantine limit set up on items. We are by far we are not scientific or medical experts, but we suggest no less than 72 hours if things are going to a student's home and coming back, 72-hour quarantine before the next student is able to check them out.
Okay. I don't see any other questions in the chat as I just perused by. So yeah.
All right, perfect. So if there's no other questions, I want to thank Nick. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to join us today. I know today in particular for the majority of the US is a rather crazy day. And thank all of you for joining us today and dedicating an hour of your time to learn a little bit more about Merge with us as well. And don't forget to follow Merge at MergeVR on Twitter as well. So there's 3 key points that I kind of wanted to go over that Nick touched on earlier, or actually spoke on in a little bit more detail. So digital teaching aids, how important those can be, and how important they are, especially now in the world of distance learning, hybrid learning, or even if you're in person and students aren't able to share physical devices. Curriculum aligned science simulations give you a great way to interact with your students while getting that full engagement while using something great like the Merge platform, the Cube, and the headsets, and engaging AR experiences, again, using the Cube and your devices to really up that student engagement so they are really into the lesson that's being taught. So again, thank you so much for joining us today. We would love to help you in your STEM and STEAM journeys moving forward. If we have already helped you, thank you so much for coming back and joining us for these sessions and learning a little bit more. You can always contact us directly at orders@makermaven.net. You can call us at 877-MAKER75, or if you don't feel like hunting and pecking through all those letters on your dial, it's 877-625-3775. And if you have your device on hand right now, you can scan the QR code there on the bottom right hand of your screen. That'll take you to our digital catalog. So we have really tried to cut down on our paper waste, and honestly, working in technology, things change and move so fast. By the time we print a catalog and get it to you, it's typically out of date already. So this is the best way for you to keep up with what we have currently. So we can update things live. So anytime we have a new product, something goes on sale, something goes on clearance, or there's just something really cool and exciting that we're going to do, you can find it on that catalog. So if you scan that QR code, you bookmark it, then you can always just flip it open and take a look and see what we have. And so many different ways to connect with us. So we have our blog, as we mentioned earlier, so where we're doing monthly STEM challenges. So these are always items that you can find in the school or around the home. Never anything that you need to purchase, always free. And they can be scaffolded and scaled across a bunch of different age levels, grade levels, and for different types of engagement. These type of webinars, we're so thankful that people like Nick can join us and teach us a little bit more specifically about the areas of their expertise on Twitter and Facebook at @maker_Maven. And we also have a brand new YouTube channel as well, where we're going to be posting all of these webinars, the recordings, that is. So if by chance you can't make any of the live sessions, you can always check that YouTube channel and see what sessions you may have missed, or maybe go back to a session you did see live. And if you want to learn a little bit more, if there's something you think you missed, you can always go back and scan it through it the next day. So if you go to our YouTube channel, if you subscribe, and if you click the little notification bell, you'll be notified every time we post a new video, being these webinar recordings, or if we decide to do something fun on there in the future. And again, you can subscribe to our newsletter by going to our website. And it looks like we do have a winner for the 5 Merge Cube giveaway. Let's see, from our social media engagements, where did you go here? All right. Sorry about this, everybody. It looks like Alice Cyphers is the winner of the 5 free Merge Cubes. So congratulations, Alice. You're going to be getting some free Merge Cubes. So I would highly suggest, if you haven't already, signing up for that free trial so you can test it out with your free Merge Cubes that are going to be coming. So just be sure to either send us a private message within the chat here, or you can email me directly at the address I'm putting into the chat right now with your shipping information, and we'll be sure to get those merge cubes out to you as soon as possible. So again, thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. We do